Alright, so I'm going to be doing a review of Rogues. This is another book sent to me by my friend Chris. Chris, thank you once again. Yeah, so this is a DC label, a Black Label book, or as it's sometimes mockingly called DC Bat Label, because because it's mostly for Batman books, right? Like, we're all in agreement that Black Label has just become like a sub-Batman title, with a few DC characters who get Black Label books. And I know the constant complaint is, why don't other DC characters get Black Label books? And to which I say, why didn't you read this? Because this is exactly what Black Label was tailor-made for, but no one gave a shit about. Like, no one legit gave a shit about this book, and it's kind of criminal it wasn't talked enough about, because this comic is awesome. So, I was dying to read this, and I just kind of pulled an all-nighter reading this comic, just to get it finally out. It was kind of just sitting in the pile, and like I said before, the DC to Marvel ratio is a little off-kilter, so I was kind of saving to do another DC book, and this was kind of the perfect one to do. Anyway, so let's talk about Rogues. So what is Rogues? Well, it's believe it or not, about the Flash Rogues. It's set in a kind of not too far distant future, and Leonard Snart has retired as Captain Cold. However, in the back of his head, he remembers hearing about this big score, and he's always kept it in mind, but he never had the ability to pull it off. But now, he's old, he's in his 60s, 70s, and now he's done being a loser and wants to pull off a big score after getting the Rogues together, even recruiting Bronze Tiger and Magenta to this incarnation of the Rogues, because some of them have died off of old age. He even gets back and reconnects with his sister, Golden Glider, and the group heads out to get their big score. And where is this big score? Gorilla City. What I love about this book is that it really has this Old Man Logan meets Ocean's 11 kind of feel. It's also interesting to note that we don't see any superheroes. This is a straight-up villains book. This is a book that you don't get any word of the Flash, or barely any mention, I should say. It's all about the villains. They don't go into detail of, what happened to all the superheroes, or why don't you hear about Batman or Superman? They don't talk about that. This is strictly a villains comic. The comic is written by Joshua Williamson, who did have an extended run on The Flash. So he kind of knows how to write these characters. He already knows how to write these characters, and he has a damn good voice for all of them. And since this is a Black Label book, we don't have to sugarcoat shit. That's another big thing here, is that there's no sugarcoating anything for this comic. It is just straight up, here we are, we're going to say words, say some really fucked up shit, and do some fucked up shit. I really love the artwork, which I wish I could show you, because every word is just not safe for kids. It's a brutal comic too, and it really kind of leans into the whole thing of the the Flash Rogues still trying to be a family, but Leonard Snart just can't help but be Leonard Snart. I really enjoy the Flash Rogues are some of my favorite villains in DC Comics, so I was really excited to see this comic and see it be made. It was a comic I've been dying to have in my collection, and yeah, I really enjoyed this. This is a brutal take on a DC universe. It's also pretty bleak, and and I'm not going to spoil the ending, but it has an ending only a comic like this can have. Let's just say this doesn't end on a feel-good note, and kind of leave it at that, shall we? This comic is a lot of fun. I really enjoy just kind of the banter between all the characters. Gorilla Grodd also plays a major role in here. He is basically, like I said, the big mob boss and now ruler of Gorilla City. There's also some genuinely sweet moments too. This comic does have a lot of sleaze to it, but at the same time there's sweetness sprinkled in between the sleaze. Even there's a great moment with Grodd and his family after they walk in on him like beating this guy to death. Later he comes in and is like, hey, sorry, you saw that, you know that's not me, that was a bad day. So this comic is a great book that really represents, I think, the best parts of DC Black Label. But again, no one picked this up, so that just means, oh, we'll just throw out more Batman titles. Yeah, and maybe some other DC characters can join in DC Black Label. But it's going to be mostly a Batman book, a Black Label book, because those sell. Yeah, although having said that, though, I am really excited to read Rodney Barnes' Batman Full Moon, which is Batman fighting werewolves. So that'll be fun. But all in all, you need to check this book out. This is a great representation of what Black Label can do and what writers can do with these characters when they're let off the leash. So I highly recommend Rogues. If you love the Flash villains and want to read a cool heist story, here you go. So there you go, guys. Once again, I'd like to thank Chris for sending me this comic, and you guys tell me in the comments below if you've read Rogues. Let me know in the comments below what you guys thought. Other than that, hope y'all enjoyed this. I'm Mr. Multiverse. I'll see you next time in the Multiverse.